The shuttle descended in silence, its thrusters exhaling controlled bursts of fire that flickered against the steel expanse of the Interstellar Coalition's premier military academy. Through its narrow viewing port, Cadet Marcus Hale watched the looming spires of the training citadel rise, sharp as blades, glinting with a cold, alien majesty. His reflection in the glass looked unimpressed, a calm pair of eyes beneath dark hair, though deep inside he felt the weight of every glance that would soon fall on him. Humanity had sent him here as its representative, the only one among 1,000 alien cadets. To him, it was less a privilege than a challenge, and one he intended to endure with a quiet, stubborn pride. The docking bay yawned open, filled with creatures from half a galaxy's worth of worlds. Their postures bore confidence, arrogance even, as they hefted weapons designed to embody millennia of military refinement. Marcus stepped out, carrying a long, nondescript case in one hand. The crowd parted just slightly, not out of respect, but the wary curiosity reserved for oddities. His stride remained even, though whispers already curled through the air like smoke. General Vorhak stood at the far end, a towering reptilian figure sheathed in ceremonial armor, his scaled visage unmoving, his piercing gaze cutting through the chatter. His reputation preceded him, merciless in discipline, unimpressed by heritage. His loyalty was only to results. The cadets straightened instinctively, wings folding, mandibles locking, and tails coiling in stillness. Marcus did the same, though his expression betrayed no awe. Today, Vorthak's voice rasped, deep and resonant. You present the weapons of your species. Precision and firepower are not traditions here. They are truths, measured without mercy. On the range, pride has no shelter. His eyes swept the assembly before pausing briefly on Marcus. Even for those who bring relics. A ripple of amusement coursed through the cadets. Marcus neither flinched nor fumed, only shifted the case in his grip and followed the others toward the armory staging ground. One by one, the demonstrations began. Zirek, feathers glinting like burnished gold, strutted forward with a rifle that hummed with caged plasma. He spoke loudly, reveling in his audience as he described its precision, its ability to disintegrate targets with the heat of a newborn star. Sparks lit the range as he fired, scorching through targets at mid-range with dramatic bursts. Applause followed, though Marcus noted the faint lag in its recharge cycle and the radiant plume that would betray any marksman's position. Cruller came next, his insectoid limbs moving with sharp, mechanical efficiency as he unfolded a rail weapon that crackled with magnetic energy. The shot tore into a target at incredible distance, the impact blossoming in a shower of debris. Cruller's mandibles clicked smugly as he explained the physics behind it, ignoring the heat shimmering from the weapon's barrel. Others followed, each unveiling weapons elegant, exotic, and intimidating, their pride swelling with every cheer. When the line at last narrowed to him, silence descended like a held breath. Marcus placed his case on the table, unlatched it, and lifted out his rifle. There was no gleam of advanced alloy, no soft hum of energy containment. Just matte black steel, angular, unadorned, a weapon born of powder, brass, and kinetic force. The stillness broke into derision. A toy, Zirek laughed, wings fluttering in amusement. Do you plan to frighten us with noise? Cruller's mandibles clicked in mockery. Chemical combustion, prehistoric technology. The human might as well throw sharpened stones. Laughter rippled among the cadets, echoing against the walls of the range. Marcus said nothing. He held the rifle with a familiarity they could never imitate, his hand steady, his stance grounded. Their words slid off him like rain from stone. General Vorthak lifted one clawed hand, silencing the mirth with a gesture. Mockery is cheap. The range is honest. Results alone will speak. His gaze shifted to Marcus, unblinking. Human, show us your truth. Marcus gave a single nod, stepping toward the firing line. The air behind him vibrated with expectation, disdain sharpened into eager anticipation of failure. He set the rifle against his shoulder, eyes narrowing as he looked down its simple iron sights. He could already imagine the smirks behind him, the arrogance coiled like a spring. They would see. Targets rearranged themselves on the range, drones darting like birds, armored plates shifting into place, long-distance silhouettes flickering on the horizon. The stage was set for humiliation or revelation. Marcus exhaled slowly, steady, as the quiet hum of alien technology filled the bay. He touched the trigger, feeling the familiar resistance, knowing that here, under the gaze of predators, the reputation of his species balanced on the weight of each shot. The laughter still lingered at the edges, but it was hollow now, thin and uncertain, as if all present sensed the moment before a storm breaks. He pulled the trigger. The report thundered through the hall, sharp, violent, primitive, and utterly unlike the elegant hums and crackles before it. The echoes rolled through the steel corridors, drowning the whispers. Something shifted in the air, a new tension born not of laughter, but of waiting. And Marcus smiled, not wide, but just enough to know that the silence meant everything had begun. The first shot had left the range in silence, but Marcus did not falter. He cycled the bolt, chambered another round, and fired again. The crack of gunpowder reverberated, a brutal percussion that rattled against the pristine steel walls. This time, a moving drone shuddered mid-flight before collapsing in sparks, its armored shell punctured through and through. The alien cadets stared, their wings and limbs frozen in disbelief. The primitive mechanism of chemical ignition and solid projectile should have been laughable, yet the results on the range were undeniable. With each controlled burst of fire, Marcus stitched holes into targets that the others had only scorched, shattered drones that had shrugged off energy bolts, and punched through armored plates where plasma left melted scars. Zirek's crest feathers twitched, his voice cutting through the hush. Coincidence. Luck. Nothing more. He crossed his arms, talons clicking against the floor as if reassuring himself. A trick of calibration. Marcus ignored him. He was already scanning the far horizon target, just a faint silhouette projected beyond 600 meters. His weapon had no targeting computer, no stabilizing gyroscopes, no recoil compensation. It had only him. He steadied his breath, squeezed, and the figure dropped instantly, its central plate cracked neatly in half. The sound of metal clattering onto the range floor seemed louder than the gunshot itself. Even General Vorthak's unblinking stare narrowed slightly, a minute shift that others would not dare interpret, but Marcus noticed. Kreller's mandibles rattled with agitation. Explain. Your weapon cannot breach composite plating. The energy transfer is too small. Marcus broke his silence, his tone calm, unprovoked by insult. Small doesn't mean weak. Speed matters. Density matters. Physics doesn't care about pride. His words, like his bullets, landed heavily. He returned the rifle to the bench, unlocked its receiver, and disassembled it with quick, practiced hands. The cadets leaned forward, half expecting to glimpse forbidden alien tech hidden inside. Instead, they saw only springs, steel, a firing pin, and brass cartridges, mechanisms that seemed crude, almost insulting in their simplicity. Zirek scoffed, though his voice carried less conviction. This is barbarism, a relic of savagery. Any fool can make metal explode in a tube. Marcus reassembled the weapon smoothly, the parts clicking into place with the inevitability of habit. Any fool can pull a trigger. Not every fool can hit. For a heartbeat, silence held again. Then Vorthak's voice cleaved through it, harsh yet resonant. Performance noted. But demonstrations are only preludes. The range judges more than accuracy. It reveals endurance, adaptability, and control under duress. Tomorrow, combat trials will begin. His gaze swept over the assembly, pausing deliberately on Marcus. The battlefield does not flatter relics. We will see if your Stone Age tool holds against living fire. The murmur that followed was not laughter this time. It was sharper, laced with something between doubt and curiosity. The cadets began dispersing, voices rising as they dissected the display. Some dismissed what they had seen, clinging to arrogance, while others whispered uneasily, unable to reconcile their pride with the evidence of shattered targets. Marcus remained by the bench, stripping and cleaning his rifle, methodical as a man polishing ritual steel. Zirek lingered longer than the others, his wings tight against his frame. Do not mistake today's surprise for victory, human. Tomorrow, when the battlefield burns, your toy will melt and your tricks will end. You will see the difference between soldiers of the galaxy and a relic from a forgotten world. Marcus did not look up. His movements were steady, precise, each pass of the cloth across the barrel as calm as his voice. Maybe. Or maybe you'll see how little the galaxy understands about Earth. The avian cadet's feathers bristled at the calm dismissal, but he said nothing more. He stalked off, talons tapping in quick rhythm, leaving Marcus alone with the weight of tomorrow's trial looming just ahead. As the last echoes of retreating footsteps faded, Marcus slid the bolt forward, closing the rifle with a quiet click. He sat still for a moment, listening to the emptiness of the range. To the others, tomorrow would be a test of firepower and supremacy. To him, it would be the proving ground for something older, something honed across centuries of war on Earth. Patience, adaptability, and the quiet brutality of physics. He stood, slinging the rifle across his back, and walked from the hall. Behind him, the shattered drones and ruptured armor plates still smoked, silent witnesses to the moment when laughter faltered and uncertainty took root. The cadets had mocked his weapon as a toy, but tomorrow, they would discover that in the hands of a disciplined human, even toys could become instruments of survival and symbols of fear. Dawn came to the academy cloaked in a pale light, filtering through the towering windows of the simulation hangar. The cadets gathered in silence, their weapons gleaming under the stark glow of overhead panels. This was no exhibition. Today the battlefield itself would judge them. The air carried an edge sharper than any blade, as though anticipation alone could wound. Marcus stood among them, his rifle slung across his back, the matte steel absorbing the light rather than reflecting it. The aliens glanced at him sideways, some with disdain still smoldering, others with grudging curiosity. None voiced their thoughts aloud, for General Vorthak's presence silenced all but necessity. The reptilian instructor strode to the center, his armor plates catching the light like obsidian shards. His voice, gravel and thunder, rolled across the hall. Cadets, you will enter the field in squads. Scenarios will shift. Terrain will test your endurance. Enemies will press until you break. Adapt or fail. No excuses. His reptilian gaze lingered on Marcus for an extra heartbeat. Survive, human. The chamber doors slid open, unveiling the simulation ground, a vast environment of conjured landscapes, shifting seamlessly from scorched deserts to ruined cities, to forests dense with fog. It was no mere hologram, but a battlefield layered with hard-light constructs and semi-autonomous drones, every shot and impact brutally real. The first scenario erupted without warning. Drones swarmed from the trilene, metallic wings buzzing as they fired bolts of searing plasma. Zirek leapt skyward, his plasma rifle spraying arcs of brilliance, each shot a glowing ribbon against the dark canopy. The spectacle dazzled, but his ammunition reserves blinked red before the wave had even thinned. Cruller took position on a ridge, his rail weapon hurling slugs of accelerated metal that shattered drones at distance. But with every shot, the coils screamed, and smoke rose from the barrel. Soon, he cursed, claws raking against the weapon's overheating frame. The others fared no better. Elegant designs faltered under prolonged use. Batteries dwindled, weapons seized, and the battlefield mocked their reliance on sophistication. Marcus moved differently. He kept low, firing in measured bursts. His rifle cracked with brutal rhythm, each shot deliberate, final. Where plasma scattered, his bullets punched through. Where rail weapons faltered in heat, his steel ran cool, dependable. He advanced methodically, using cover, conserving rounds, each trigger pull purposeful. The simplicity of his weapon was its resilience. No interference, no overheating, no power cells to drain. By the second wave, frustration bloomed among the alien cadets. Their rifles hissed warnings of depletion, forcing them into clumsy retreats. In contrast, Marcus pressed forward, the steady percussion of gunfire anchoring his squad. More than once, he cut down drones that had slipped past Zirek's flashy salvos or Kruller's long-range strikes. Each time, the alien cadets hesitated, the truth gnawing at their pride. The human was carrying them. During a simulated urban engagement, the truth became undeniable. Drones swept through narrow alleys, pinning the squad under a hail of plasma fire. Zirek's weapons sputtered uselessly, its cells exhausted. Kruller's railgun clicked, the coils too warped from heat to function. Panic rippled through their lines as mechanical shadows closed in. Marcus stepped forward. His rifle barked once, twice, 3 times, each shot ending a threat. The cadets ducked behind him, their pride stripped raw as they realized they could not hold without him. "Cover us," Zirek shouted, desperation cracking his voice. Marcus did not answer. His focus was absolute, his breathing measured, his stance firm. Bullets flew where they needed to, striking joints, optics, cores. Every pull of the trigger was an execution. The alley cleared, and the cadets exhaled relief they did not want to owe him. When the simulation finally paused, enemies collapsing into fractured light, the cadets' gazes converged on Marcus. No laughter remained. Only the quiet unease of men forced to witness what they had mocked. General Vorthak's voice cut through the tension. Scores updated. A display ignited above them, columns of numbers ranking each cadet's performance. At the top glowed one name. "Hail, Marcus." Zirek stared, feathers quivering, his pride caught between denial and reluctant awe. "Impossible," he whispered, though the evidence blazed overhead. Kruller's mandibles ground together. "Your toy, your primitive weapon, it endures where ours falter." Marcus lowered his rifle, expression unreadable. "It's not the weapon. It's knowing how to use it." For a moment, no one could meet his eyes. Even the most arrogant felt the sting of truth. They had entered confident that technology alone defined superiority. Instead, the human had shown them that discipline, patience, and centuries of hard-earned warfare mattered more than glowing coils and humming barrels. General Vorthak advanced, claws tapping the steel floor. His gaze swept the humbled cadets, then settled on Marcus. "Do not mistake this test for triumph. The field has not yet bared its teeth. Tomorrow, each of you will face the crucible alone. No squad mates. No allies. Survival against the flood." His voice sank lower, a growl reverberating in every chest. "Few last more than minutes. Some do not last seconds. Prepare yourselves." The words hung heavy, and with them came silence. Marcus cleaned his rifle again, methodical, his expression unchanged. For the others, tomorrow meant dread, but for him, it was just another chance to prove what they refused to believe, that humanity, with its so-called relics, carried something far deadlier than technology. As the cadets dispersed, whispers followed him. Not mockery, but quiet recognition tinged with unease. Pride had cracked today. Tomorrow, it would shatter. The chamber doors sealed behind Marcus with a metallic finality, and the simulation flared to life around him. Ruined towers loomed against a sky split by smoke, their skeletal frames jagged like broken teeth. Streets lay strewn with wreckage, shadows flickering with the promise of ambush. This was no squad exercise. This was solitude in the face of unrelenting hostility. The others watched from the gallery above, their eyes pressed to the transparent barrier, eager to witness the humans' undoing. The first drones appeared almost instantly, their forms cutting through the haze with predatory precision. Marcus dropped to one knee, raised his rifle, and fired. The round cracked through the silence, clean and absolute, striking the lead machine square in its optical array. It collapsed without ceremony. The others fanned out, plasma bolts scorching the pavement where he had been, but Marcus was already moving, slipping between wreckage, his rifle steady, his breath measured. From the gallery, Zirek muttered, feathers tight against his frame. "He will tire. His weapon will empty. Then we will see." Yet his voice lacked the sneering certainty it once carried. Marcus advanced deliberately, never wasting movement. Each shot was chosen with precision, the echo of gunfire punctuating the silence like a drumbeat. A drone dropped with every trigger pull, joints punctured, armor pierced, core shattered. The audience shifted uneasily, for though they expected desperation, they saw instead a soldier who seemed almost comfortable in the chaos. As the simulation escalated, the ruined city shook with new waves of enemies. Larger constructs stalked from the smoke, quadrupeds plated in composite armor, their energy shields flickering like translucent shells. Plasma fire ricocheted from walls, bathing the streets in light. The alien cadets leaned forward eagerly, certain this would be the end. Marcus took cover in a collapsed archway, calm as ever. He loaded a fresh magazine, slid the bolt forward, and waited. His eyes traced the patterns of movement, the rhythm of the machines, until one shield flickered at its joint. The rifle barked, and the slug tore through the weakness. The machine staggered, collapsing in sparks. The cadets inhaled sharply. One by one, the heavy drones fell, Marcus rounds striking with surgical economy. No waste, no hesitation, only the quiet certainty of a man who had long ago accepted that survival was earned through patience and precision, not spectacle. Still, the simulation did not relent. The final wave surged forth, a massive war drone, towering over the ruins, plated in shields that shimmered like molten glass. Plasma turrets whirred, saturating the street with fire. The cadets above whispered in disbelief, for none among them had ever felled such a construct. Most had not lasted long enough to even face it. Zirek's voice cracked the silence. Now it ends. No slug can breach that. Marcus remained motionless for a moment, studying the behemoth as it advanced, each step shaking the broken ground. He reached into his pack, drew a magazine marked with faint scratches, specialized rounds, dense and hardened, meant for the rarest of circumstances. He slid it into place, racked the bolt, and moved with deliberate calm toward the wreckage of a collapsed tower. He climbed steadily, each movement purposeful, ignoring the hiss of plasma bolts searing the air around him. When he reached the exposed beam of twisted steel, he set the rifle against his shoulder, exhaled, and aimed. The giant's shield shimmered brightly, nearly impenetrable, but Marcus waited. He watched the machine stride, its timing, until a fraction of armor shifted near its power joint. The rifle roared. The slug pierced through, sparks erupting as the machine staggered. He fired again, and the giant lurched, its shield faltering. The gallery erupted in gasps as Marcus took one final breath, steadied himself, and placed the last round precisely where it mattered. The war drone collapsed in a deafening crash, its armor splitting, its lights fading into silence. The battlefield stilled. Smoke curled upward from the husk of the fallen machine. Marcus remained poised, rifle in hand, scanning for threats until the simulation dissolved around him into light and silence. The ruined city vanished, leaving only the steel chamber and the stunned faces of the cadets beyond the glass. General Vorthak's claws struck the floor as he approached, each step echoing with the weight of authority. His voice filled the chamber, stripped of all ambiguity. Test complete. Survival achieved. Human, your results surpass expectation. For the first time, silence from the gallery was not contemptuous. It was reverent, heavy with the recognition of pride broken. Zirek lowered his head, feathers quivering not with scorn but with reluctant respect. Kreller's mandibles clicked softly, the sound not of mockery but of concession. Marcus slung his rifle over his shoulder and stepped down from the platform, his expression steady, unflushed with triumph. He had not come to humiliate. He had come to prove. And prove he had. Vorthak studied him for a long moment, then spoke with the gravity of a verdict. Technology evolves. Pride crumbles. But discipline, patience, and ingenuity, these endure. The galaxy may learn much from what you call a relic. Marcus inclined his head, his voice low but firm. It's never been about the weapon. It's about the man behind it. Those words lingered in the silence that followed, searing deeper than any plasma bolt. The alien cadets, once laughing at a toy, now found themselves measuring their worth against the unshakable calm of the human who had turned simplicity into supremacy. Their pride had not just cracked, it had shattered, leaving only respect and the quiet unease of knowing that the relic they had scorned was wielded by hands they could no longer dismiss.